Hey friends, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Matapa Ramatlama. So guys, in today's episode, it's a very, very special one. We have a live audience and and we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Shanté Dalhouzie. She is a registered counselor. She's a qualified teacher, currently lecturing psychology at a university. And on top of all of that, she has her own private practice. She is an entrepreneur, founder of Flourish Wellbeing, a private mental health institution for individuals and business sectors. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
And I think it's so important to mention, especially because it's Women's Month, that not only are you all these professional titles, but like you're a woman, you're a friend, you're a wife, and a recent mom. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to say how like weird it actually felt saying Shanté. Like I'm so used to hearing you, ma'am.
I know.
It feels so out of it. Just for context, guys, she was my psychology lecturer, so we always used to call her ma'am. So calling her by a name feels disrespectful.
No, I always told you guys you were most welcome.
A few icebreakers, right? What is your favorite hobby?
I would say reading or binging series.
Okay. I've tried reading, but like, I don't know. I can't finish a book. Well, what's that? Why? Why am I like that?
I don't know. I think you get two different people. You get those that want to watch the movie of the book, and you get those that want to read the book. No, but for me, even if I can at the beginning of the book tell what the ending of the book is going to be, I still want to read it. And I love those that are page turners. Like I can't put it down. I want to keep reading. And a lot of times if I know a movie is coming of a certain book, I want to read the book first and then watch the movie. Because I can't watch the movie and then read the book. It's kind of
no, I'd rather
the
watch
book
the movie.
And then I'm always disappointed with the movies because there's so much in the book that's not in the movies, and I get it, but
Okay. Second one. Are you routine based? Like, do you have like a morning routine, night routine, or?
I am routine based. I don't really have a very glammy routine, to be honest. But I do like to have things kind of in a certain way, give or take a few minutes. But in
the same way, like I feel out of place without like a routine. I feel like I'm not being productive, and then I just it's like a cycle, right? Okay, last one. Tea or coffee?
Tea always. I only drink rooibos tea. I do not drink any coffee. I don't know, have I never told you guys this?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I do not drink any caffeine, coffee.
These days I'm dabbling into matcha. Because I like the aesthetic. I'm like,
So matcha is a tea, but it has caffeine in it.
Now we're going to jump straight into our topic for today, right? So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of safe space? Like the first few things that come into your mind.
Okay, so safe space, the first thing is calm. The second thing is routine based as well, like having a certain structure to it. Respect, being yourself. Because I think if you think about safe space in the broader scheme of things, it means it's a place where you can go with no judgment, with no interference, I almost want to say.
Like where you could just feel like yourself
and
not have to alter anything. For those who don't know what this looks like, right? Would you say that a safe space is something that just automatically can happen, or somebody should be intentional about creating it?
I think it can happen automatically, but people don't realize that it happens automatically always. But then the moment you start realizing that you have actually created a safe space, then it becomes more intentional. And then from that point onwards, it kind of becomes a thing where you are more intentional and set time apart for it. So sometimes it is more spontaneous, but then it develops into that intentional space.
Okay, so for somebody who wants to create the safe space, they have to be intentional.
Yes. So if you haven't noticed that it is something that you have, or you feel like there's a lack of safe space, then you need to be a little bit more intentional and kind of make time, set time aside, set time apart for it, and maybe look into what types of things you want to do, where you want to do it, because you get your physical safe spaces, which is your environment, or you get your more mental safe spaces.
For somebody who, again, is not aware of like what a safe space looks like, and they are watching online and they are like, what are the signs? What should I look out for to see that this environment is unsafe? Like, what are the kind of general things that could say that this is unsafe? Let's say more mentally, like emotionally, because I think physically is more common.
I think if it makes you feel mentally drained, emotionally drained, it's unsafe. There's lack of respect in that space for you or your boundaries. Anything that you feel, there's just this strange feeling that you kind of get. And like I said, I think the most important thing will be the respect aspect of it. Not feeling heard, not feeling seen. And yes, I know everybody's busy with their own thing and people don't necessarily pay attention to just making you feel heard and you feel seen. But there's still an aspect of, if you respect someone and you respect their boundaries, feeling seen, feeling heard will be easy, although everyone else has their own thing going on. But if you feel unsafe in any way, shape or form, whether it be mental or physical, then it is obviously going to be a little bit of a red flag, and you know that is not a safe space.
That's good. And I'm asking this because I feel like a lot of people exist in unsafe spaces without realizing it. So they don't know how to identify it. For example, especially in family environments, I think that's a big one, right?
People sometimes justify staying in unsafe spaces, or they make excuses for people while being in unsafe spaces. It happens a lot, and that is maybe because you are trying to help their mental health, which is unsafe for you, but you creating safety for them. And then it can become a whole vicious cycle of, how do I get out of it? Because then you don't really know how to get out, how to create your own safe space within that space. Because sometimes people do things and someone is like, listen, did you see how they just spoke to you? And you're like, no, but Shane,
they're having a rough day.
And then you make excuses for them, and and that happens so often as well, which then, like I said, creates a safe space for them, but an unsafe space in the long run for you.
But I think that's so difficult though, because where do you draw the line in terms of, I have to be there for this person? This is my partner, this is my mom, but it's unsafe for me.
And that's why it always comes back to boundaries. Although it might be someone close to you, it might be a family member or a partner, a loved one, you still need to set boundaries. You need to ask yourself, what is that line that I'm not going to allow someone to cross?
So I'm quickly hopping on here because I want to take you guys through the last part of the conversation, because it did get cut off. When I was editing, I noticed that we don't have the last part of our conversation, and I didn't just want it to end there, because we talked about such important and good points, and Shanté gave us really amazing tools and techniques on how to cultivate safe spaces and just how to go around it, that I felt like I learned a lot. And so I want to share with you guys how the conversation just kind of flowed throughout the end. As you guys saw, kind of the last clip where Shanté and I were talking really about safe spaces within family dynamics, and she mentioned such an important thing of, sometimes we are the ones that tend to stay in unsafe environments because we feel sorry for the other person. Because when somebody disrespects us or does not respect our boundaries, then we make excuses for bad behavior. We're like, no, it's okay, he or she is just having a bad day, and we make excuses for that. And it's like, in that way, we are creating safe spaces for other people, but not for ourselves in the long run. And that is so important to catch, right? And then we further on just went on talking about sometimes it becomes hard to create safe spaces, right? Around family, friends, your partner, because sometimes you get triggered. And so you try to avoid being triggered by just avoiding setting the boundary, avoiding having the conversation of, hey, this is what I need in order to feel safe. When you try to create safe spaces in your life and with the people around you and you get triggered, maybe those people don't take it well or, make you feel worse. Shanté mentioned something so important. She mentioned when you get triggered, that is when you need to quickly go back into a space where you feel safe instead of moving backwards. Because I've found myself in the rat race of trying to create safe spaces, and every single time I get triggered or traumatized, I regress backwards. I kind of build up my wall higher. I kind of, not try anymore because I'm like, it's not working, right? And that is moving backwards. And Shanté mentioned that instead of moving backwards, when you get triggered or when you feel like your trauma is being awakened by a person or a situation, quickly go back to your safe space. Whether your safe space looks like an environment, maybe when you cuddle up in a specific corner or you go back in your bed, you feel safer. So go back to that so you can gain yourself back up and gain your strength and gain your confidence. Then proceed on trying to set the boundary. Then proceed on trying to create safe spaces within family environments instead of just giving up on your parents or giving up on your partner or your friends. Instead of doing that, because that is you going backwards, go back to your safe space instead. And I know for a lot of people, our safe space is when we are by ourselves. So once you are within a community and they trigger you or you feel like you're not going anywhere, go back to your safe space. Go back to your room. Go back to your bed. That is your physical safe space. Maybe try having mental safe spaces. Maybe words of affirmation, right? I also use words of affirmation when I feel overwhelmed and my heart starts racing. I have to literally tell myself, Matapa, you are safe. You are okay. And then I literally feel my heart going down. So you need to have certain tools and certain things that you can go back into when you feel threatened or traumatized or triggered by your environment, so that you can build yourself up from that safe space instead of going backwards and building your wall even higher. And another thing that Shanté mentioned was also that while you work on creating these safe spaces, right, it is important to speak positive over the situation, no matter how it looks like, no matter how it feels like, speak positive over it. Because in psychology, there's a term called self-fulfilling prophecy. If you speak something over and over, that becomes. So if you're always going to have the mentality that, oh no, this is not working out, or oh no, I've tried setting boundaries, I've tried asking people to respect me, I've tried creating safe spaces, right? But it's just not working out, so I'll give up, I won't try, I'll just build my wall higher. If you have that mentality and you speak that over yourself over and over again, then that is actually going to become. And then I also asked her a question, said, is it possible for somebody who has experienced toxic and unsafe spaces and environments for a long period of time in their life, is it possible for that person to ever get to a stage where they trust safe when safe comes, right? Because it's important to notice that if your whole entire life has been built on toxic and unsafe, the day that safe comes and safe presents itself, you might not trust it as much, right? So I asked her if it's ever possible for somebody to trust safe. And what she said was so good, because she said it is possible, right? But people are going to need different measures of safe. For one person, maybe they've been traumatized so much that they're going to need the higher extreme of safe. Right? They're going to need somebody who's going to assure them, reassure them, validate them, really give them extreme measures of safe. And then you're going to find other people who, are okay with just normal measures of safe. And no matter where you are on your spectrum of need for safe, it's okay, because as long as you are consistent with the practice of trying to create safe spaces and trying to accept and be open to safe people and safe spaces when they come, then the more you're going to trust it. Because again, we spoke about how intentional you need to be about it. You're going to start trusting it and being more intentional with it until you build up kind of your safety net, and you're consistent up until you find yourself on a better extreme of the safeness that you need. It's important to have people in your environment that can understand you enough to provide that safety for you. Healing is the ultimate goal, because only once you start healing do you start experiencing life in such a way that can welcome you into things that allow you to flourish. You're going to start believing again. You're going to start dreaming again. You're going to start putting yourself out there again, right? Because you feel very safe. And that can only happen once you go on this healing journey, because flourishing is where we all need to get to. And Shanté Dalhouzie has a private practice, right? As you guys heard at the beginning of the episode, where even the name of her private practice is Flourish Wellbeing. This shows just how intentional and passionate she is on helping individuals, families, children, teenagers, even business sectors really get to a space where they get to flourish, right, through providing mental health services. So if you haven't checked her out already, I'll leave all her details in the description box below and on the screen. Definitely check out her Instagram page or her Facebook. Check her out. Inquire, no matter where you are on your mental health journey, whether you feel like nothing is wrong or whether you feel overwhelmed, right? If you feel like nothing is wrong, prevention is always better than cure. So you can get tools on just how to better navigate your life to get to flourish. Because sometimes maybe you are living life, maybe you have no mental illness, but you're not flourishing and you're wondering what you are missing to flourish. She will help you with all of that. So definitely contact her, inquire, get to know yourself better and allow yourself to flourish. Lastly, before I give you guys the tools and the techniques that she gave us, that listen, I'm taking them all in. Before I get to that, I just want to mention why healing is important, because unsafe spaces create unsafe people. Therefore, unsafe people create more unsafe people and more unsafe environments, right? So it's important for us to get to a place of safe within ourselves so that we are able to create safe spaces around us. Because when something is unsafe and it creates unsafe people, this looks like people with mental illnesses, people who are just under stress and distress, and these people create a world that is unsafe through their many actions, their many, ways of thinking. So it's important for us to strive towards safe. So here are some tools and techniques to help us create safe spaces for ourselves, right? So the first one she gave us, right, which she illustrated so beautifully, and unfortunately you guys can't see it, but again, you had to be there to fully experience what was happening in that room. So definitely join us when we have our next live podcasting show. Anyways, so the first tool she gave us, she mentioned a 5-finger breathing technique. So basically you use your 5 fingers and you go up and down, and as you go up, you breathe. Let's say you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Right, you do this in, out, in, out, in, out until your heart starts to calm down, until you start to feel safe again. If your heart was racing, if you're feeling overwhelmed. So breathing is a very important technique for us to get to safe and to calm, because we can't get to safe if we are feeling all over the place. It's important to kind of bring ourselves to this calmness, that could allow us to feel safe again. So she gave us this technique, which I thought was really, really great. And it's important to mention that you shouldn't just rush through it, right? Because when you're stressed, you might just like, no, you must take your time with it. Take your time with it and just breathe. Another technique is also rubbing your hands together. Apparently, just rubbing your hands together helps with breathing. It helps with, letting you calm down and just gets you centered again. And then this one is a really, really big one, affirmations. Affirmations are so, so powerful, because it's not just words that you speak, right? But it's actually words that you tell yourself so that you can start believing it. Because sometimes it's better to believe something and to feel something when you say it out loud with your mouth. So affirmations are also a really great, technique to kind of help us cultivate safe spaces for ourselves. And another technique that she gave us was to stay grounded. So basically, staying grounded is coming back to the present moment. A lot of times when we feel anxious and when we are overwhelmed and when we feel unsafe and disrespected and a lot of times angry, all these negative feelings and emotions that tend to make us feel unsafe, right? A lot of times when that happens, it's because our mind is going in so many different areas and we're thinking of a lot of things. We're thinking about the past or the future or what you still need to do. Like your mind is going in so many places. So the technique was to stay grounded, basically bringing us back into what is going on right now, the present moment, right? Sometimes she mentioned that you could go outside and feel the grass, you know what I'm saying? So that you can actually remind your body and yourself that I'm here. This is where I am right now. I'm not in my mind. I'm not in all these different places that try to get me go crazy, but I'm here. Come back to the present moment. Feel your surroundings. Be mindful of what you are doing. Meditate, right? Whatever your meditation looks like, but bring yourself back to self. Just come back into this moment. That would really, really help us create more safe spaces within ourselves and for ourselves. Because you truthfully need to create that space for yourself, within yourself, before you could ever expect it from the people around you. Because if you can form it within yourself and for yourself, then once you do enter spaces and environments that kind of feel unsafe, right? You can at least know that, okay, when you get triggered, you can get back to your own safe space. It's very, very important to be consistent with creating and cultivating the safe space for ourselves, because Shanté also mentioned something so good. She said even people who go to therapy, right, who come to her for counseling and stuff like that, they go to her, they feel better afterwards, and then they stop coming, and then they stop creating and cultivating the safe space for themselves, and they stop using the tools and the techniques that they were given. Then they spiral and then get back to unsafe, and then they call a few months later like, hi Shanté, I need another session, because they did not cultivate the safe space for yourself. So it's important to be consistent, whether you want to be consistent with therapy or you want to just be consistent with the tools that you learn in therapy, about how to create a safe space for yourself in your specific situation. But consistency and intentionality is the only way that we can ensure that we truthfully really create safe spaces for ourselves and for the people around us. And lastly, we ended off our very, very beautiful conversation by me asking her, what are her last few words? What are the words that she would want to let you guys know, like a take home message? And she said, treat people how you want to be treated. That is so powerful, because you want to receive respect and love and assurance and validation, or whatever it is that you want to receive from other people, but it's like you need to treat them how you want to be treated as well. If you want other people to create safe spaces for you, then you need to also respect others. If you want to be respected, respect others. If you want your boundaries to be respected, then respect other people's boundaries. And I thought that was so powerful, because a lot of times when we look at self-improvement, mental health, and just working on our mental health, we always look at it from a perspective of I, what can I get from this environment? You are wrong, I am right. You are making me feel uncomfortable. You are making me feel unsafe. You are traumatizing me. You are triggering me. You. But for a second, sit with it. Take stock and inventory of, okay, how am I contributing to this situation, right? What could I do better so that maybe they could be better, right? So it's always important to treat other people how you want to be treated. And on the flip side as well, the people who create the unsafe spaces, the people who trigger, traumatize other people, as a person, when you hurt other people, think about it for a second. Would you like it if somebody did that exact same thing to you? Would you like it if somebody caused that pain to you? Would you like it if somebody made you feel unseen, unheard, disrespected? Would you like that? No. So definitely don't do that to others. Treat other people how you want to be treated. Thank you so much, Shanté, for joining me in this conversation. I took so much away from it, and I hope that our audience also took a lot from it, because I definitely know our live audience took a lot from it, because we spoke everything safe spaces throughout the whole entire day. So I hope the audience online can also take away just at least one thing that they can start implementing in their lives. Definitely check out Shanté Dalhouzie. I'll leave all her details in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review down below, and switch on your post notifications so you can know every single time we drop a new episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.